Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Life Burst Podcast. I am Andrew.
And I'm Tiffany. Welcome back to the Life Burst
It's true, I
Podcast.
moved the webcam, and I was like, where are you at?
Camera
There.
one, camera two.
Camera
Camera
one,
one,
camera
camera
two.
two.
Hi, everybody. It's been a while.
It's been a little bit.
We've been testing a lot, doing a lot of tournaments, things like that.
We have. We have.
So it's been a pretty crazy week cross couple weeks. Also, happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays. Happy New Year.
I hope you guys enjoyed the lore videos that were going on in the background during that time. Those pre-recorded sections that we could just be like, okay, we're going on vacation. Here you go, guys.
Yeah, basically.
But
You put a
yeah,
lot of work into those, though.
I did. I did actually put a fair amount of work into the lore videos. I wanted to keep them bite-sized and sort of like, oh, watch this, and now I know a little bit more about Wheatcross rather than like a whole deep dive videos that like we often do
Or
as our
just like
thing.
the endless deck techs, which we know that you guys enjoy.
Yeah.
And they are extremely helpful and well thought out.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
thank you, Andrew. But also, sometimes you just want to enjoy the game part of the game.
Yeah. And once we're all caught up on the web manga, there's going to be the actual read with me's with the
Ooh.
new stuff that's been coming out, the stuff that's actual like
Has been
per
translated.
yeah, and pertinent to the sets that are coming out right now. So we'll do those at some point too.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun time.
So normally this is where we go and we talk about. I realize I have a lot of headroom. I'm just gonna. This is normally where we talk about the comment of the selected comment of the week. There's been a lot of good ones, but I actually wanted to highlight a whole channel.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So there is a channel by the name of Wecross Bataru with an exclamation mark at the end, and I'll link to them in the description below. They're doing really tight gameplay videos. Maybe Tiff, you can see on here. It's on my phone. They're doing really
Oh
tight
yeah.
gameplay videos where, so they're doing like normal gameplay of Wecross, but they're doing the whole like edit stuff that I don't want to do. I don't have I don't have that time for. But it's really cool. They've got like like people like the life cloth counters, how much energy counters. They have the little pictures of the actual Elrigs themselves, which is pretty cool. I mean, I think overall that's their style of how they're editing the video is actually pretty entertaining. And if you're not even like that great at Wecross, you can follow along.
Yeah.
I would think maybe the only thing maybe that they could add is commentary at some point if they wanted to do that kind of thing. But the way it is right now is actually quite readable.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty cool. So I wish them the best of luck with
So
it.
shouts out to We Cross Bataru.
Yeah, if you guys ever want to do something on the with us, we can do something over Discord. You guys can record it, throw it on
Let's
your channel.
collab live
Yeah, it would be cool. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, collab livers coming up soon. Anj is one of those things that you should be testing in your GP life. So yeah. Speaking of which, we did a bunch of tournaments, like a ton of them.
We really did. We've been having like a regular testing schedule.
Yeah.
Andrew and I play like every day for lunch,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much. Like that's what we do during our lunch breaks. And we just finished up the 3v3 that Neat hosted again, which was super fun.
Totally fun.
Um
Scrubbed out.
yeah.
I scrubbed. Our team, my team specifically, got last place.
You guys could have done better.
We really chose to have fun instead of like really
Yeah.
pushing like high end winning content. It's like funny though, like the three teams that are like usually the guys that are like pretty GP like focused. We all got like bottom three. Like we're
I
like
mean,
all like
you really like getting back to we've been playing a lot. You have been like really putting in the reps, and so having the 3v3 come in and actually be a really nice
Mhm.
break from all of the super serious like tunnel vision stuff was really nice.
Mhm.
So I hope that we get to do more 3v3s. I know that this is the third one that we've done, but I don't care. I want to keep doing them because they're fun.
They are really fun, and plus they get to hang out with your friends, right? And that's like a big thing. So
Yeah.
another thing that we've been doing is our ATL group
Our locals.
has really been like kind of doubling down on a little bit of like trying hard, a a little bit harder than we used to, just
Yeah.
for GP prep in general.
Hmm.
Um,
Especially because since the GP's going to be in Florida.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you know geography, but Georgia's right above Florida. It's actually feasible for a lot of us to travel, whereas the Vegas one was
Yeah.
much more of a stretch for a lot of us, and a lot of us couldn't make it. We went,
Yeah.
but not everybody could. And I think that this time around we're gonna have a big peach representation, which I'm very
Yeah,
excited
it would be
about.
pretty cool. I know a lot of people when it was announced that it was in Florida, a lot of West Coasters were upset about that. But it is sort of the flip end, I think. I'm actually quite happy they did an East Coast, West Coast one, you
I
know.
think so too. I think it's fair.
Yeah, I
Like
do too.
America's big.
Like we traveled, but it wasn't easy to do it,
No,
you know? Like
it
I
was tough. Like, I mean, especially I don't talk about this very often. I have a mobility disability, so having to travel and then not really have like a car
Mhm.
at like readily accessible to me does make it more difficult. Um, so I appreciate that it's a little bit closer by me.
Yeah.
And also, from what I understand, Vegas is not too difficult to travel to from if you're like in LA or like the West
Right,
Coast or
right,
whatever. I
right.
mean, it is still traveling, don't get me wrong. But like, it's like drivable, I think.
Yeah.
Correct me in the comments down below. Like, I don't want to seem like totally
Yeah,
ignorant or
you know,
whatever.
I'm not saying anything to Wecross here, but if they wanted to put it in Atlanta instead, we do have the best airport in the United States. So
I don't know if it's the
the biggest airport in the United States, if you want to put it that way.
I don't
So
know if I would call it the best. It's
uh,
certainly the
I
busiest.
know, I
It
know.
is one of the biggest though
No, I think it is the biggest.
in the United States,
Yeah, I
yeah.
do think so.
Or like doing it in New York. New York would be cool too.
Yeah, I would travel
Mm,
to New York. It'd
I
be
would
cool.
travel to New York.
But yeah, so anyways, the GP's coming up. We have a lot of locals that are kind of working on it. Um, and we're sort of like so the way that my GP journey has been going, and this is something I've been trying to stick to, is I kind of think 3 months ahead of time. The first month I do everything and anything. I don't like
Mm-hmm.
I have no plans. Like it's just like, ooh, what if this is gonna be good? And then I play it and then it's trash. And I'm like, well, that was to be expected. But I'm literally trying out all the craziest things. Like, ooh, what if Cosmos but for level ones, I did nothing but Braves, like something crazy like that, And it usually doesn't work out, but I learned something from it,
Yeah,
which is
you're allowed to
nice.
get weird.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's that is the first month. And the second month I narrow it down to like, okay, I've tried all of the crazy things. What is out of everything that I've tried so far, what is the top 5 things that I've been working on? And then after that, I it's literally the grind test where
Mm-hmm.
I grind those 5 things against everything. And I decide, all right, you guys have seen my doc in the past before where it's like, all right, now I've got this has an X win percent rate. This one has an X win percent rate against these different archetypes, and like statistically, what could be the best if you do that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty heavily in that sort of like grind thing. I have still next month is the month that I'm like, all right, I figured out what deck I'm gonna play. I'm gonna test this one a bunch and get used
Yeah.
to it. Um, but yeah, so right now that's where I'm at. I don't have any. I've got nothing else to say. I'm still like in data land,
Dadland.
which trust me is boring. And there's a matrix, and you guys don't want to know anything about that right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm kind of in the camp of like I'm just gonna pick a deck
hmm
that I think works for me, and I'm not even gonna look at anything
yeah,
else.
you look
Like
you
I just do so much better when I focus first
yeah
and then just like put in the reps and just become like basically an expert in
yeah
my deck. And honestly, I find that that works so much better for me, not only because it gives me more time to practice with a specific deck and become comfortable with it, but it doesn't it also allows me to not split my focus.
yeah
You know, like I'm just not wasting my time
hmm
with other decks and diluting down my, you know, I don't even know, like knowledge approach or whatever. Like I'm just picking something and I'm just going to stick with it. And that is what works for me. Let us know in the comment section down below how you like to prepare for big Wecross events.
yeah, and I mean that totally works. Like Wecross is also one of the only ones that you can actually get away with doing that. Like in Magic or in Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Like you end up there ends up being a list of like usually anywhere from 3 to 5 best decks, right? And you can maximize your returns on the investment by just investing in one of those things and constantly drilling it against, the other things too, just so that way you've got a wide variety of net to pull from. But the at the end of the day, it's still like sometimes there's just the right deck to pick for a game. I don't know if Wecross is currently that game.
I
But
feel like there's just a lot of variables for
yeah,
Wii
but
Cross.
there's a meta, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes the meta is 3 to 5, sometimes it's like 2.
Mm-hmm.
But in Wecross GPs specifically, you get rewarded with the sleeper of your choice if you are the best of that Elric playing, right? And like if you're like, I'm gonna choose Bang, and I'm just gonna be the best Bang player, right? Like it's kind of cool. It's a really cool world that like you don't have to be the best of the best of the best in Wecross to still get rewarded for your efforts.
Mm-hmm.
And it is also I mean like here's the thing, man. When they announced the GP top 8, we got applause, sure, but we didn't get as much applause as every single person who won the sleepers. Like it was just legit. They didn't. They just everyone went nuts over the best musica player.
Specifically the best Pearluke player who cosplayed as Pearluke. And if that is not commitment, I don't know what is.
Right.
Like, honestly, earned. Like, earned.
And so yeah, like get me one of those. Get me a screw that I can
So that you
like
can be
headbang,
bang.
and I'll wear it. Um,
Oh, what if I did get you that? Just like
I
a
would
little
wear it the
headband with
entire
the.
GP.
Aw.
Um, then then like so yeah, those guys got louder applause. And do you know how many applause the final two and the final finalist, the person who won the whole GP got?
Hmm.
Nothing, because no one was in the convention building anymore. Like, you know
Oh.
what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be rude or anything. I'm just saying it is a real thing that, like, in this community, winning with your favorite Elrig is a big deal. It's a big
Yeah.
deal. And so it's cool that we cross is one of those games where you can be like, I'm just gonna do my best and work with the Elrig that I think is
I
my
do
favorite.
like that they specifically support that because I mean, like, I don't even know how many L rigs we have anymore that are like L rigs.
Individual,
Well, individual ones, but
I'll
also
count.
ones that like you can actually play as a center, like be your main girl, but like it's a lot.
Cover me, I'll count.
So, like, there's so many to pick from, and like this is a game that like you're going to have your favorite Larig and you're going to want to play with them. And I just like that WeCross has supported that and recognized that like everyone's going to have their favorites, so you should be rewarded for playing with your favorite even if it's not the most viable one. And I feel like we've talked about this before, but I do like that aspect of it. I am not going to bring an Ott center deck to the GP. Spoiler alert. Um, but
48.
48?
48. Which, to be clear
I
here,
don't know if you know
there's
how
a
to count, but
hundred
that's almost 50.
there's 120 cap, so that is almost 50%. If everyone were to just take one unique one,
Oh,
that's
anybody could win.
50%.
Mm. Oh, speaking of changes for the GP, like they announced like a few of the rules.
Yes.
It's pretty much going to be the same as last time. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's like I think they said that it's going to be 40-minute rounds for the actual tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think they were going to go to attack phase instead of going into like overtime or like a double loss or something.
Yeah, I can look at the
I
rules
think that
right
there
now.
might have been like some changes with that, which I think is probably fair. I mean, double loss is brutal, but I think that going straight into attack phase, and if there being no clear winner, then it's a double loss or something like that. But for the finals, they definitely changed something from the Vegas GP. And I
Definitely the correct
think
move.
it's the right move because if you were there or if you recall how they ran the Vegas GP, the um the final like
Top 8.
top eight, what they did is it was best of 2 out of 3 rounds, and the rounds are 40 minutes. So that was like extremely long like rounds just to figure out who's going to be like in top four, basically. And like, yeah, no one was in the convention center because it was like 11 o'clock at night and none of us had eaten yet. So what they're doing this time is it's best of one, which is
Yes.
great because that's how it's been the entire rest of the tournament. So like that's what makes sense to
Best of
me.
one, no time constrictions on top eight, and
Oh, nice.
it is best of one.
Oh, that's
Single
cool.
elimination.
Single limb, but you don't have a time constraint, which I do think is fair.
Yeah.
I think that that's totally fair because there's just like a lot more pressure and you have to think out your turns a lot more thoroughly when you get up into like those upper levels. So,
At the end of match, current phase is if the current phase is not the attack phase, it's a double loss. If the current phase is the attack phase, finish the attack phase. If no winner, then double loss. So it's still
yeah.
pretty heavy. But so the double loss thing comes from Japan. It's a
Yeah,
pretty
that's like
common thing where on their stuff, and it's like in Yu-Gi-Oh rules, I think as well. Like especially Japan Yu-Gi-Oh rules, it's so that way it's like, look, we need to end this game in a manageable amount of time and move forward because even if three people not ending the game can make your events go from hour long to hour and 20-minute long each round, and then it ends up being 4 times as much. An event also costs money, so it's just one of those things. I actually don't mind the double loss. I just think it becomes the onus now is on the individual player to say, hey, we've got 15 minutes left in this round. We need to move along.
yeah, I think that I don't think that it's unfair. I just think it's brutal, especially when you're playing with Swiss
Mm-hmm.
and you have to deal with like breakers and stuff because then a double loss will not only like ruin your win rate and your opponent's win rate, but
It's a
also
hefty penalty.
everyone else you've played
It's a
against.
hefty penalty. Yeah, which is also
Because
one of
it
those.
affects I just
That's one of those reasons to not to drop is because you'll mess up everyone else's
yeah, just
record as well.
concede. Just concede. Stop. Don't drop. I'm being serious. Like this is. Hold on. I get up on my soapbox for a second. Please don't drop during GP.
Mm-hmm.
Like I understand that maybe you don't want to play anymore, or like maybe you have to go do something somewhere, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like, and like if that's the case, like if it's an emergency and you have to leave, like obviously. But when you drop in Swiss tournaments, it screws everyone over. Like everybody.
Yeah.
Because all of those are like calculated into like the I just the math soup that is in whatever how they however they figure out breakers for Swiss. Just concede. Just like give people wins if you're not going to be
Yeah.
there. Like I feel that that is more fair to
Yeah, I
everyone.
agree. And not only that, it is again, Wecross is one of the rare ones that rewards you for sticking around longer. In Japan specifically, the more you get points for being in a round, so it actually incentivizes you in their Japanese point system to go to every round. You still get points for going to rounds.
Yeah.
If you don't win, it doesn't matter. You get extra points for winning. You just also get points for just showing up. In us in Wecross, look, the fact is, and it's happened a bunch. There was a lot of people at the GP who were like, I'm the only music player. I'm gonna get this. This is my win." And then they came up to me and they're like, "There's two other music players." And you're like, "All right, win your last rounds. It's the only thing you can do.
Stick through this.
Get that 4-3 instead of a 3-4, and you could come out on top there. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Sorry.
that's
I just feel like because I know that there were a lot of players at like not just the GP, but like other tournaments as well, where like people would drop and then suddenly like they wouldn't make a placement that they would have if their opponent hadn't played 4 rounds and then dropped.
also, this is the one and only time that you're going to be able to play like We Cross players from across the United States. Like,
Yeah.
it's just fun
Don't ditch us
to
for
see.
Disney World.
Yeah, it's fun to see people. You know.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm sorry. I don't
Meet
mean to
people.
shame anybody, but I just feel a little passionate about that one.
I agree. We all came here to play, so let's play. I
Hmm.
agree. I'm with you on that one. Even when I'm losing, I'm like trying to be a good loser and like have fun with people. Like again, to bring it back to the 3v3 tournament, I got dead last place, you know. But I really wanted to play Nanashi,
Yeah.
and I really wanted to play the new Paraluke Assist, which was just for this event. That's not actually in English yet. I wanted to try it out, and I was like, "Ooh, it might be high roll, high risk, high reward." And let me tell you something, mostly high reward for everyone else and high risk for me. So
Did you
so
have fun
I
though?
lost, but it was really cool. I actually my favorite thing that happened at the tournament was, and this just goes to show how cool these 3v3 tournaments. I coincidentally in the last round, and it didn't matter, we didn't make top cut anyways, got paired with Scob, who is the deck creator of Tom Clear. And the cool thing with it was both of us were like, ah, well, we're not winning this thing. So we talked instead of really playing. Like we played, and we just weren't really focusing on the game. We were just mostly talking about stuff. It was cool. It was cool to talk strats with him again. I haven't talked to him since the when we interviewed him. So it
Mm-hmm.
was it was just it was cool to talk with him again with that kind of stuff. And like, you know, that's why I had fun there doing that kind of thing. Um, so, anyways, but that was my 3v3 event. You did better than I did.
I did actually. I think we ended up coming in.
Fifth,
I think it
very
was
very
sixth
close to
actually.
fourth.
It was pretty. It was well, no, because there was one other team that placed slightly higher than us. So I think we came in sixth, something like that,
I'm checking.
out of eight. I could have been fifth. I don't know. We didn't make it to top four. But I did have a good time. I was playing with two other people from my locals that I see often. And so it was cool to be able to like IRL deck construct with them and also like just talk out like our strategies in person instead of it being strictly on Discord or whatever. Which is a fine platform. It's just nice seeing people in real life too.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
So I played a Mel Center with a Lion assist and an Eldora assist. And I had a lot of fun with that deck,
Mm-hmm.
actually. I think that it could maybe have been constructed a little bit differently. Like there was an opponent that I went up against that also had a Mel Center and a Gazuko assist. Is that one of the 48 lyrics?
Yes.
And I don't remember what the other assist was, but they constructed their deck to be like really annoyingly defensive. Like they were
Mm-hmm.
using things like skunks, novas. They pulled out a what's it called, a Hestia at
Mm-hmm.
like the last round, and I was like, oh my god, it was really hard to play around their deck. But I do enjoy a Mel Center. I really like the accessory capabilities. I played it with Burning Curiosity and not Ancient Echo,
Green. Energy door.
Energy
I
Door.
always want to call Green Sun Zenith Energy door. Like that's my magic just spitting out. Green Sun Zenith has no effects similar to Energy door. I guess I cast it at the same cost all the time for green colorless. I don't know. My brain is wired wrong. There. I'm always like Green Sun's Energy door.
No energy. I mean, it's not. I don't even. No.
They're not even any similar.
Okay, yeah, then that's just incorrect. But yeah, I like that deck. I like playing Mel Center. And the Eldora assist,
Yeah.
which was I think it's searching and burst rush is what I ended up playing burst rush.
Mm-hmm.
If you can put an Exia into your life cloth for searching and then hit it on a burst rush,
Yeah, it's pretty good. This
that is so punishing.
basically all of your good beat stories can start with Eldora. Your bad beat stories can start with Eldora too. There's times where that Eldora does
Oh yeah.
assist does nothing.
I definitely hit a bad burst rush with
Yeah,
Eldora
and
for
you're
one of my
like, yeah,
games.
you're like, cool. I intercharged one with my level 2 assist. That's not gonna bite me in the butt at all. Um, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It does do something that I think actually is kind of interesting for Mel, which is it does give you enter. Like that's its baseline, right? Because it crushes your life cloth. And the life cloth then goes to your
I
enter.
just really just finish your thought.
Okay, so it gives you enter because it crushes your life cloth, and that life cloth then goes to your enter. So and
Mm-hmm.
then you get eventually some more crushed life cloth for double effects. But it ends up giving you enter, which is strange because it costs 0 enter to do, and it just adds to your enter. And Mel is enter hungry, so
No, is that
having
hungry?
extra sources of enter in your deck is good. That's all.
I just wouldn't call it that it enter charges you. I understand that a card goes to your enter zone, but just as playing a deck that has so many other ways to enter charge, I just like wouldn't
Sure.
categorize that as
Because
a way to enter
well,
charge.
okay, well
I
then
understand that like at the end of the day, that's like sort of what happens if you look at it
well okay,
like,
so
but at the same time,
put it
I just, when you say that Eldora Burst Rush enter charges
it
you, I'm like,
does.
I understand what you're saying. I
Okay.
just wouldn't say that because it just feels so,
Let
like, just
okay, so
inconsequential.
let's compare it to the easiest way
Very heated
to
today.
kill one Signy, right? The easiest way to kill a Signy right now in Wecross is you grow one of your assists for 1 enter and it vanishes as target Signy, right?
Sure.
Okay, so if you grow Eldora for 0 enter, zero goose egg enter, right? And then it flips a Exia and vanishes 2 Signy
Yes.
for 0 enter, and it
Yes.
crushes one of your own life cloth. You gain an enter. So you see how currently you can compare the cheapest way to kill something on the opponent's turn, which is 1 enter, with the Eldora, which is you gain an enter. See how that's different? It's a different of two.
I just wouldn't put it in the enter charge
It's you
category.
gain
I
enter.
understand that you gain enter. Just because you gain enter doesn't mean that you enter charge. When one of your Signies vanish through battle, are you enter charging as well? No!
Yeah, but you do gain enter.
Yeah, you gain enter. It's not enter charge.
Sorry, or is like white aggro strategies not strong because they deprive you of that enter?
Maybe.
So what I'm saying is when you when you are doing the same effect, if not more, for 2 enter cheaper, that has a positive impact on your resources.
Yeah.
It's like if Tiffany, if
I just think hitting a
if you
life
went to go
burst
buy
is
a piece
much
of bread and it
more
cost
what
you,
that card is trying
if
to
you went to go
do.
buy a piece of bread,
Okay, here we
a
go.
piece of sweet bread for $1, right? It costs
Well,
you a
first of all,
dollar.
I wouldn't, because I'm gluten free. Sure.
A gluten-free hot pocket for
Okay,
a
that's
dollar.
nice.
You're like, cool, I
Nice.
spent $1 for it. I didn't spend $2 for it. But what if the person at the bakery, you were like, I'd like one gluten-free hot pocket, and you have your dollar in your hand, and they go, sure, and they hand you the gluten-free hot pocket
Yeah.
and an extra, they just paid you a dollar. And now you've got this gluten-free hot pocket and $2 in hand. You're like,
What?
that's
But I
the
had to
that's
pay
the
the
dollar
dollar.
dance. This is the dollar dance. You're like, no, you didn't have to pay the dollar
Wait,
because
so I keep both dollars?
you keep the dollar that you had, and the bakery gave you a dollar plus the gluten free hot pocket, and gave you another. It was like, hey, you high rolled. Here you go. Here's another gluten free hot pocket. That is what it's like to run the Eldora assist. You get 2 gluten free hot pockets and $2.
Subscribe for more amazing analogies like this.
Could I have
Sure.
one of your gluten free hot pockets?
No.
My Eldora didn't give me any.
This is very fitting for a Mel deck. It's very food centered.
Um, we
Also,
we did some loot card tournaments as well.
did we?
Yeah,
Oh, we did.
we did.
We did some garden. Card garden.
Right, that's not Loot Card is con. Card Garden.
Well, Luke Card is still here, but they're not doing any.
Yeah, they're not doing Waycross.
Anymore.
Yeah,
But
we did
Card Garden is what we have been playing. I
Mm-hmm.
got some stuff from them. That was
Yeah.
fun.
Did you get what placements did you get in those?
I actually placed really well in
I
those.
think
If I
you
remember.
got a first and a second, right? I think you
I
did
think
get a
so,
yeah, you got
yeah.
a first and a second.
I actually placed really well in those, and I was like, "What is happening?"
I also got a first, but I didn't get a second. I got a third place outside of that. So I did a first and a third place,
Yeah, we
which
had
is
some
good.
prizes sent to us, and those were pretty fun to open up.
Yeah, I played a sachet deck for
Oh
my
yeah,
first
you
place.
did. Yeah, you did.
And let me tell you something, sachet is pretty good
Mhm.
when everyone's running aggro. it has a lot of
They
highs.
would do very well in Italy.
Uh, did yeah, because of that event. Um, the, I will say Sasha maybe doesn't do well against other things that aren't aggro.
Mhm. Yeah.
But it is very unfair against like red or black based
Mm-hmm.
aggro.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my experience with Sasha. It was fun though. I had some people messaging me that they beat their local ceremony. Ceremonies are happening. So as you guys see this, if you have your ceremonial results and you have the decks, throw them my way. You know, we always love to give shout
Yeah,
outs
for
on the channel.
sure. We love to see what you guys are playing because
Yeah.
it's almost always different than what we're playing for our locals. It
Mm-hmm.
feels very regional. So please leave your decks in the comment section down below and maybe we'll give them a try.
Yep. So that's what I did for my card garden. What did you play?
I don't even remember. It feels like forever ago. It wasn't though, was it?
No,
What did I
like
play?
2 weeks ago. It was Tom Clear
Yeah, I
probably.
think it was probably just Tom Clear is what I was playing.
And yeah, so that was good. We got our ceremony coming up in
I think that's
soon.
next week.
Next week. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got our local ceremony coming up.
I heard
Are we
there's
playing
some.
for a playmat this time?
We are playing for a playmat. We're playing for a I don't know which playmat we're playing for, but there's two new ones that are in the circulation now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what happens is I think they do this on purpose where they add two new ones into the circulation and then second place gets another one, but it's one of the older ones. But it's
Mm.
probably because they like overprint their first amount and then they're just like adding these
Yeah, just like
extras into
adding
the pool
stuff into
until they run
rotation.
out. Yeah, I
That would
assume
make
that's what
sense
it
to
is.
me. I mean, uh, it seems like a good way to spend your money.
Yeah,
Isn't one
and
of them like an oodles?
one of them is
It's
no.
not oodles.
Oodles is the GP playmat that you get for participation prize, and let me tell you, that one looks good.
Oh,
That one,
she's so beautiful.
I'm
You
so
guys
in.
know that I'm a major oodles stan. I just think that she is like the most gorgeous Lyric I've ever freaking seen.
Yeah, and
I mean, she's not even a Lyric. She's the most gorgeous Signy I've ever seen.
this one has a Umir and Toggle.
Yeah,
Like
are they doing her like fusion?
well,
What are you doing?
um, yeah, they're doing their fusion dance. Although I think it would be very funny if some fan artists out there were to do them doing the actual Dragon Ball Z fusion dance because that's really funny.
I mean, that is.
So then we're gonna do that with our ceremony. I have already made an open bet that like I'll trade away if I get first place and I get that what is it? Not Xenocluster, Garden of Singularity.
Mm-hmm.
We got one from the last ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
I'll trade it away for those Yukis. I know that the Yukis are top 16 prizing, and I don't care. The Yukis are great. I love Yuki. Level 1 vanilla or move something. So useful. The other prizes are all very cool and very I don't play with those cards.
It's good to have your priorities in order beforehand.
Yeah.
I think that that's fine. I mean, that way you don't get sucked into this whole like it's the best one, so it must be the most expensive or like whatever. You know what I mean? It's such a trap. When you could just be playing with the cards that you want to play with.
Well, just Yukis are, you know. Okay, so look, guys, I will admit something. I'm not like very much of a deck pimper. I don't. If I have a foil, I'll play with it. I don't put them up for sale because I just like it's not worth putting them in the envelope for 30 cents.
Mm-hmm.
And what I do is if I have a foil, sure I'll play with it. If I don't have a foil, generally speaking, I'll do that. I've sold foil Honials and things that I've opened before, so I could buy like 8 Honials because I just prefer to have the actual card and plentiful amounts if I need to across the multiple decks.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that I personally will fall for the trap of is if it says congratulations on it, I have a little bit of enough to be like, look at all these cards I've won. I'm a winner. It's like it's bad. It's never happened to me in any other card game. I've never alternate art or foiling or anything. I don't really care at the end of the day. I just want to play with the cards. That's it. Their printed effects are the same. Cool. I'll take the cheapest version. But if it says congratulations on it, I'm gonna fight for that card. I do like it.
That is a bit funny that you prefer those.
You know, I will never openly say in a battle like, "Oh, look at all my congratulations cards. Are you intimidated by me?" But if that happens, I'm okay with it. Look, we all have our embarrassing things about cards, all right? That's the whole reason we play specifically this game.
I mean, I'm not much of a deck pimper either, but I will like I prefer certain art over others,
Yeah.
and I actually don't like the super ultra rare gold foiling like Lurig ones
Mm-hmm.
because they're hard for me to read because of the glare. So I actually prefer some of the more like simple card arts or like the original Yuki art. I actually like that art better than some of the promo ones. Not to say that they're bad, it just appeals to me more. So whenever we've gotten like Yuki promos in the past, we've usually like sold them or traded away for like the basic ones.
Yeah.
Because I think that art is pretty.
I put it up on the screen for you.
All right, there we go. So like you guys, you get what I'm saying. Like I just like it better. But I'm also not super picky. Like
That Yuki art is very reminiscent of the old art style, which I like the new art style of Wixoss a
of
lot,
Diva.
but I think some of the old stuff, some of the etherealness of the old stuff is missing
Hmm.
from the new stuff. It's a little more neon focused,
Yeah,
and
it's more jewel
I
tone.
kind of like the etherealness sometimes too.
Yeah,
Some of the lighter colors, the lighter color palette that they
yeah.
used on those
I think
cards.
that's why like I like the Oodles art so much is because like some of the backlighting on her specifically or on like Lawat, for instance, like I think Ancient Surprise lends itself a little bit more to the non-diva like older kind of art style, which makes sense because Umar and Tawil are from the previous set before Diva. And I just kind of I like the treatments of those arts better. I think that they're a little bit more like not tangible. They're a little bit more tactile where like the diva art can look really, really smooth. I don't know if that makes any sense. For those of you out there that make digital art, you maybe can kind of tell what I'm talking about. But I kind of like how traditional like some of the older art feels, you know? And then some of the newer art kind of feels more like it's like too clean
Yeah,
almost.
yeah.
Again, not to say that it's bad. It's there's a lot of WeCross art that I like, and if you guys would like me to start making shorts just talking about some of the card art in WeCross, let me know in the comments section down below. Maybe that's something I'll start doing. Um, it's just like personal preference,
Yeah,
you
totally.
know. But like I'm not you're not gonna see me being like I need the shinies of all of these cards and like completely like
Yeah.
pimp out my deck. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Because if I can't read it, then if it's too shiny, then like I can't read it, and then it's like, what's the point?
Yeah, you're gonna see me with congratulations arts. That's 100%. The only other thing that you'll see me go a little bit out of my way for is Halloween stuff. Look at my Halloween merch. Look at my brother's gritty Halloween
Gritty
merch. Gritty
Halloween.
is the worst mascot, and I like him a lot because of that. Um, yeah,
Welcome to the Philadelphia Mascot
exactly.
Podcast.
But I like spooky stuff. So there's a I can pull it out. I bought this is the like one of the only cards I bought from Japan, and I jumped on a group order to get it done. But I bought a remember, but she's like wearing a white
Like a
witch
witch.
guard.
Hmm.
And when those inevitably come out, I'm gonna buy a ton of them. Like that's gonna be my default guard.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. Actually, there is something I would be willing to pimp out my deck with, and it is Christmas and guards. Like there's I think every just like everybody has their favorite Lorig, I think everyone has their favorite guard art too. Or sorry,
Yeah,
servant sharp
yeah,
art.
sir.
Like let's be honest, it's guard,
It's
but like
guard.
you know what I mean. Like I think that everyone has their favorite servant art that they like to use. I really like the maid art.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that is some gorgeous,
That's my number two.
gorgeous
Yeah.
work. The witch remember is pretty close as well, just because like I'm a sucker for anything with a witch hat. Like really, I really am. It is shocking the cards I haven't played that have witch hats on them because they're not great
Like
cards.
slime mage.
Don't call me out. I wish she was better so I could play her.
She's in my cube.
I also really, really like the Mecha Servant Sharp. That art
It
slaps.
does slap.
It's so good.
I got Slime Mage up now.
Like that looks like it's like you shall not pass. Like I love that. Any servant sharp art that guards with a nope is great.
So I'll give Slime Mage some credit.
Okay.
Here's me giving Slime Mage a little bit of credit.
All right.
Well, the reason it's in the cube is because there is something I've noticed, and this is if you go deep into the matrix of Wecross, there are certain effects that they leave to cards that have life bursts, and certain effects that they don't leave with cards with life bursts. So, for example, one of those effects is lane opening. Most lane opening cards are not ever going to be attached with a life burst.
Mm-hmm.
And that's with you're trying to figure out why is it that my deck doesn't feel like it has enough lane opening. The answer is it's by design. You don't have card. Think of any card off the top of my head that's really good that opens a lane. It doesn't have a life burst. There's only spells that have life burst and also open a lane, and spells are generally worse than other things. And
Mm-hmm.
this is one of the reasons why Ana Mirage is so good. Ana Mirage. Ana
Mm-hmm.
Mirage is one of the few ways to get a life burst in your deck and also have a very good lane opening ability. That is why it's one of those always deck things. Another thing that's really hard that you'll find that's going to also constrict how much you can do is Enter Charge. Enter Charge does not show up on cards with life burst. It shows up on their life burst, but you can't like Enter Charge one with life burst outside of
Yeah,
spells. So
that's true.
that's one of the reasons why, again, you see a lot of green decks having a hard time because all the stuff they want to do is Enter Charge and open lanes, and they can't do both in that 20 slot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Slime Mage is one of the few cards that allows you to open a lane and has a life burst. I'm not saying it's good.
Enter two blue, one colorless.
Yeah,
Put two other Signy on your field.
yeah, it's not good.
Into their. You have to open.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. In my cube, in the Wecross cube, which you guys can play
So you have to
at the
pay
GP.
3 and clear 2 of your own. I
Yeah,
guess.
it's insane. It's insane. I'm not saying it's good, but again, in this cube, which only has life bursts in it, right? It's a deck of you get nothing but life bursts in it, which it will be playable at the GP. We'll be messing around with it at some point. It is one of the few ways to open up like lanes naturally in that thing. So that's why it's in there with life burst. So it does
Life
have a
first
role.
draw 2 cards. It's not bad.
You'd be surprised how many bad cards suddenly have are suddenly not terrible when you play them in sealed or draft.
Yeah.
Um,
She's just so cute.
there's so many green cards that are like, if you have 3 colors in your enter, it does this effect, and you're like, well, that's not reliable. But in draft, it is super reliable because you usually have 5 colors of enter in your enter at that point.
Yeah.
Or 4. You don't have the one the one that you need to grow, but.
Oh, Slime Mage, why can't you be good so I can play a witch deck?
Well, there's gonna be some good witches coming up. We got the Halloween set coming up after the virtuals.
Yeah, but that's Halloween. I mean, I'm talking about like regular like Signy and
But
whatever.
there's a lot of good Signy. They all have witch hats because that's in Japan apparently. That's Halloween. You just top a witch hat on.
Is
something.
it
Boom.
not?
It's there.
I mean, it's every day for me, but I think we actually talked. This is a totally different topic. We have found the line between spooky and Halloween,
Yeah.
and it is jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the line.
Well, basically it's not just jack-o'-lantern. It is guys, I can go on forever about this thing. It's headless horseman, right? Headless
Sure.
horseman, which is part of Sleepy Hollow.
Yes.
Sleepy Hollow is kind of the line because it like anything earlier or more antique than Sleepy Hollow ends up being this like gothy. Oh no, that's the
Romantic.
line between gothy and Halloween hokey.
Yes.
Is like Sleepy Hollow, and then anything more like Halloweeny than Sleepy Hollow ends up being Halloweeny. Anything that's more gothy than Sleepy Hollow ends up being gothy, and you end up with like, all right, Douladans. Douladans, are they gothy? Doolihans, are they gothy or are they Halloween?
Halloween.
And the answer is probably gothy. because they're just like they tarry slightly above that. You go to Pumpkinhead and you go, ugh, that's
Yeah.
probably Halloweeny now, like vampires. That's gothy, right? The interviews
Vampire with a
with a
jack-o'-lantern.
jack-o'-lantern.
It's
It's
Halloween.
Halloween.
It's just a totally different podcast now. Anyways, yes, I would like to play with an all witch deck. I mean, I just like listen, I'm not a deck builder. I've talked about this before. I do kind of want to mess around with like a food themed deck with a Mel Center,
Yeah.
which would be so cute and
Yeah.
hilarious. Let's be real. An object themed deck.
Yeah.
I want to play blanket, and well, I'm seller. I like.
We are getting to the point where types are gonna matter at some point. Like so really it starts with virtuals, and then after that we are starting to get to the future of Japan, what they've been playing with, where type does matter. So basically right now it's like in Japan's meta, it's like, are you playing virtual? Are you playing Blue Archive? Are you playing Dishona? Are you playing one of the factions? And then you go, cool, I name one of those. Each of them has a distinct play type, like, control, mid-range, aggro, whatever, right? And then you're like, cool, add 4 Exia, add 3 Remember. It's like whatever the top end cool cards are that are good, you toss those in there, and boom, you've got your deck. And so that's kind of what's happening in Japan right now. So you're not too far off of having, like, type support start kicking in.
I mean, it's not even type. Like, I just kind of want to like theme my deck. Like, I literally just looked this up. I looked up like Signy type class Mectone cooking, and there's only 9 cards, but I know that there's other like
Caesar salad.
foods. Well, Caesar is actually not a bad card.
It's not. It's
Neither
no good one.
is like honey ice, which we've seen
Sure.
get played before, or kebab, which we've also seen get played before. Cream soda is another one that's popular. So like, it wouldn't be impossible to make like kind of a functional deck. I'm not the one to build it.
I think you need to go back to that viable versus
Hold on,
optimal
I'm also gonna look
video we made once upon a
Shush.
time.
I can play the things I like.
Sure, you can play them.
I am also gonna look up Mectone Electronics and see what I get. There's 33
Oh, yeah,
results for that.
There's a million.
I mean, Chandelier is actually a Mectone Electronic, as well as
good.
Projection Map, as well as Pin Light.
All right, you're in. Card Jockey Electronics, let's go.
Blanket Rim Light is another one.
All right, Card Jockey Electronics actually probably could work, because it's got to have to revolve around spells, and Card Jockey also kind of revolves around spells, so...
Modem, Lallaroo, and Remember. Remember Memoria is a
Remember is
Mectone Electronic.
I didn't realize she can be plugged in, but yes, she can.
I mean, Dehumidifier also Mectone Electronic. So I'm just saying,
There is actually
if
a
I
fair amount
wanted
of good
to make
electronics. I
an
won't disagree with
electronic
you.
deck, I don't think it would be too far off from something that could happen.
Sure.
Pure Luke apparently is also Mectone. I didn't even know.
She deals with like anything that deals with spells ends up being a lot more electronic.
Really?
Yeah, they all have that spells theme. No.
There's a Signy in here called Hot Carpet. Hot Carpet.
Hot carpet.
Code art.
It is an art. These names are art.
I love this game so much. This just sparks so much joy. So much joy. Takoyaki.
Wait, how's takoyaki electronic? That's food. Right?
See, now that's what I'm saying is if I were building a food deck, potato fryer and takoyaki would be in the
Could be
food
in it. You're
deck.
right. It's not too much of a stretch.
I'm just saying, like, Mectone cooking and Mectone
Guys,
electronics.
I wanna point out this. I say this with all the love in my heart. So when Thanksgiving rolled around and Wixoss dropped their like Happy Thanksgiving like banner that they put out poster, there was no turkey in it, because they don't eat turkey like that, I don't think. And so there's I guess no turkey cards. Comment down below if there's a turkey card and they just missed putting that art up.
Ooh.
But it was lots of like Japanese foods, and I looked at it and I was like, nope. Like it had rice cooker in there, I think, rice something or other. And I was like, nope, that's not a Thanksgiving food, but we'll take it.
Rice. I would eat rice during Thanksgiving.
Yeah, gluten free.
My options are limited. Anyways,
That
that's
wraps it up for today.
yeah. I mean, this is all to say. I also tried to make a lane switching deck, and that worked out just as well as probably a objects or cooking deck would work out. Thank you so much for coming to the Life Burst podcast and spending time with us. I know that this was more of a like just hang out kind of day. We'll be doing more podcasts in the future, so please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss them.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be doing some more GP prep videos in the future as well.
Yep.
So with that all said, may you always flip a life burst.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.